Very good morning, guys. Welcome back to the Under Lesson, which is from Unit 5, How a Chinese Billionaire Built Her Fortune. It's all about a woman. Let's see how she actually built her fortune. Quite interesting, right? Let's see. I guess out of all 5 units, this lesson would make you think of dreams and how to build them in the real life. I wanted to tell you something here. The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams because every great dream begins with a dreamer. Always remember one thing: you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars to change the world. Let's see how this woman built her fortune and stood as an example and stood as a role model to the upcoming generations and the upcoming entrepreneurs. Most of us might be knowing much about our mobile phones, and some of the people not be knowing much about their mobile phone, what they're actually using. Some may talk about the best features of their phone or the brand of their phone. Will be impressed about a phone mostly on seeing its size, shape, and the screen. Earlier, mobile screens were made up with the plastic. You know one thing? What happened? But a woman changed its appearance by making the screens with the glass. She is none other than Zhou Kunfei, who is from China. Come, let's discuss much about her. Zhou Kunfei is the CEO and founder of Lens Technology, and also she is known as the world's richest woman, who was born in a tiny village called Jiangjing, located in Hunan, West Province of China. You believe me or not, it's only her estate which is standing on $27 million, which is nothing but 27,000 crores in our Indian rupees among all her assets or acquisitions. How all this possible? How all these things possible to her to achieve it? Let's see how she became or earned this much assets or acquisitions. She always hangs around her factory to look after the works of it, whereas sometimes she checks on the machines, and if they won't work sometimes properly, she turns into a mechanic in order to make them work. I just wanted to give you an example. I wanted to give you an example. A person whom I have ever seen. He is none other than our secretary TV Redisa. When I was thinking about this woman, no, I was thinking I would better give a real example in order to get closer to this talk. So then our secretary triggered in my mind because when I'm reading her background, when I'm reading her accomplishments, you believe me or not, I can really see our secretary and somebody supposed to be like that. So we the one who's supposed to take somebody as an example, or when you're taking someone, when you're setting someone as your role model, make sure it is not about the appearance that you follow, but it is about the principles that they followed. See, the woman is just like that. So how come she built? How come she actually earned 27,000 crores of estate? All because she is workaholic. And when it comes to her, even though she loves to be simple, she is very neat, always wears owl like glasses, and you can see an angelic face. Nice. If you see her lifestyle and childhood, she lost her mother, and her father was a skilled craftsman who lost his eyesight and also a finger in an industrial accident. Eventually, she dropped out school at the age of 16 in order to support her family. She raised pigs and ducks. Later, she joined in a company to polish the glass, and she has to work there from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. And the work was so drowning and dull. Because of that long hours and monotonous work, she resigned to the job. Her boss was pretty much impressed with the reason what she mentioned in the resignation, and immediately her boss asked her to stay back and promoted her in his company. She worked there for several years and saved a good amount of money to start up a workshop for making watch lenses. Her relatives too helped her in establishment of that workshop. She began trying to improve the quality of watch lenses, and most of her work was self-taught, self-learning. She became popular in making of finest watch lenses. Her first. So when it comes to the next point, we're going to talk about her married life. So she's not that much fruitful, and she's not that much successful when it comes to her marriage life. Firstly, she married her previous factory owner where she worked earlier, and they had a kid. They had a baby boy, and after several years, they were not actually that much connected together, and they took divorce. And later, after a couple of years, she married. She went for a second marriage and had a baby girl. Yeah, coming to the next slide. Huh. This 2003 was a great turning point in her life. Those days, most of, and also it was considered as a gigantic mobile company. When Motorola came to know that she was making watch lenses with a glass instead of fiber, even they wanted to proceed with it. If you observe earlier days, our watch lenses are actually made of fiber instead of glass. And she's the woman who actually introduced this glass on watch lenses. And one day, she received a call from Motorola to make the mobile screens with the glass. As I told you, till then the mobile screens were made of plastic. Why they have changed to glass instead of continuing to use or continuing to use of plastic? Because these glass screen are more resistant and durable to scratches, and also it provides a sharper images for text and media. She made the screen for the model Razr V3 of Motorola. This is the mobile she created the glass screen. Following this, Joe Conway started touchscreen maker lens technology. She has stated that over the years, she has started a total 11 companies. The company received its name in order to be more visible for its potential customers in the online searches. Welcome back, my dear. Let's continue the part two of how a Chinese billionaire discussed her childhood, and we discussed how she actually established her lens technology and what was her first lens making mobile phone and its company. And in continuation, let's see what actually has happened next onwards. I'm seeing her skills in making of glass lenses to the mobile screens. Very soon, she was approached by mobile gigantics like HTC, Huawei, Nokia, Samsung, Microsoft, LG, and Apple mobile companies to make lenses even to their mobile phones. Joe invested heavily in new facilities and skilled technicians in her company when Apple company picked the lens technology. I want to give you some output here. As of 2017, the lens technology employs about 90,000 people. So it shows her standards, which are actually maintained in her company, and the preference that she is giving to the skilled technicians and as well as new facilities. And also, the company's stock price rose by the market's daily limit of 44 percentage on the first day and 10% every subsequent day for 13 days in a row between 19th March and the 2nd, if I'm not mistaken, April of 2015. So with this, she set up three manufacturing plants in three cities, and even though there were many competitors in lens making field, this company stood as a tier one player. So this is what actually the slide talks about. Let's move on to the next one. uh, as you're seeing, uh, this slide actually tells about the nature of Joe. Joe very hard work and dedicated woman. Every time she spends uh, in the factory, and sometimes she sits down at the machines to work with them. And also she expects the same amount of dedication from her employees. Moreover, she's a very particular woman. You can clearly see her active participation in all the time in the factory. And in her company, most of her employees were, most of her employees for checking the glass is women. So that means you can find less women, less men in her company. Next slide. Till now we discussed her background, her accomplishments, and now let's see how they actually make a screen for mobile. The process will be done in three steps: first, second, and third. And let's see what they're going to do in first. Firstly, they take a glass and cut it down size. Means to the last layer they actually cut it, and later that will be bored and polished. They're going to polish the plates in order to have a transparent finish. So this is what actually happens in the first. No, no, no. First, this is what they actually do. And when it comes to the second processing, these plates are strengthened. Whatever the plates that were cut and polished and bored. So those plates were strengthened in potassium ion bath and painted and will be cured. So this is the second process. And finally, the third process. So they are coated with the anti-smudge and as well as anti-reflection films. So these are the three processes which will be done for this lens. Next, if you see, Joe is very particular about standards maintained in the factory. She has an apartment which connects to the factory. She uses this factory very often um, to rest and sometimes to checks on the factory. So for that sake, she actually uses that apartment, which is very connected to that factory. And coming to the next slide. Above all, she's not much popular in her own country, China. Somehow, she rarely seen in public appearances. She doesn't want it to show herself much. So for that's a reason. So when it comes to work, her employees says that she is very observant of the smallest details, subtle and very attentive to. She won't tolerate being indisciplined. The best example for this is one day in a meeting, her manager slouched. On the very minute, she told him sit straight. But nevertheless, she is known for humility. and taps always charm. This is her nature, and this is how she actually goes with the people, with her employees, and when it comes to the work, the dedication, the amount of dedication you can see, the amount of no, the humility that also you can see in her. So that's a reason she and her company stood in tier one company. Why? Because all of this. So when we are acting as a CEO or founder of a company, we have to look after each and every employee's need, and also the same amount of the dedication towards the organization supposed to be given by the employees. And next, so here we come to the conclusion. So let's see what the conclusion is all about. Um, she never were forgotten where she came from and never took her position for granted. As we discussed in the previous slide, she's very kind hearted and comprehends that the most of the girls in her village do not have an option of going to middle school. Instead, they are engaged or married at a very early age. So, and no, Joe's uh, rags to riches story has been hailed as an inspiration to the millions of migrants workers in China. In an interview with the Gansu. Gansu is one of the televisions in China. So like they are like Gemini TV, ETV, TV9, like that. So in an interview with that TV channel, she said the secret of her success was the desire to learn. Until and unless we have this desire to learn, we cannot achieve with anything. Whatever the work that you take. See here, we the people are actually dumped with semi knowledge. So until and unless we have a full knowledge about that, until and unless we come to know about that work, we cannot achieve it anything. So we the one who's supposed to be a learner. So because the world actually tells too many things about the field that you're going to choose. So that's a reason. This is what actually made this woman as an inspirational character in China, and as well as she can actually build what else she dreamt about her dreams. So uh, we the one, so who are ready to learn, those who are desired to learn, can actually build your own fortune. So with all this, we are concluding the lesson: how a Chinese billionaire built her fortune. Thank you so much. If you got any doubts regarding to this topic, ping me on WhatsApp or just phone me. With love, Victor Emmanuel Raj, Assistant Professor of English. Thank you.